Hello, everybody, and welcome to another week of Let's Talk. I am your host, author, Dre Lett. Thank you for joining me for another fun-filled, exciting week where we inspire, inform, and motivate. We get you going, get you going, get you going during these rough pandemic times and beyond, because beyond is coming, right? This pandemic's going to be ending so soon, and I cannot wait. So come on in and have a virtual seat and join us as we inspire, inform, and motivate. Absolutely. So tonight I want to recognize my live virtual studio audience that's faithful, that tunes in with me. I see several of you have not checked in. That's okay. I know some of you are watching from all over the United States and as of recent, 3 international countries. So thank you for joining us. If you're shy, you don't want to comment, I totally understand. I am so appreciative that you chose to spend your time with us. So thank you for that. But I do want to recognize those who always chat and comment and ask questions. They're my faithful viewers. Yes, absolutely. Hubby's on. Hey, Carla. Hey, lady. Let's see. Rockin' Richard Houston's here. Mommy Love is here. My cousin from Vegas. Oh my gosh, they're always here every week. And I love you guys so much. And thank you for your support. Looking over here, my other group here. Yes, you guys come on in. Like I said, if you're too shy to comment, I totally understand. It is all good. So we've got a great show, you guys. Like I said, we always inform you about stuff that's going on, or we inspire you, or we motivate you. Tonight, I think we're going to inform and inspire and motivate. So this is called Artistry Friday. Yes, indeed. We have author and poet Brandon Robinson. He is here to tell us all about his poetry and his book. Good stuff. I think you guys are going to get a big treat. You're going to really appreciate the things that he's going to share with us. So he'll be on next. So for now, hot topics. Yes, let's talk about what is going on, you guys. Some craziness is going on. As you guys know, there was another shooting out in Alameda, how do you say it? Alameda, California. I always get tongue tied with that one. And it just never stops. It just continues to keep going and going and going. And when will it ever end? But I was so happy to see the other night my president, your president, President Biden, he gave his presidential address to Congress. Yes, and basically President Biden, he wants to urge Congress to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act by May 25th to commemorate the first anniversary of his death. Yes, I think that's outstanding. The written legislation regarding the act covers a spectrum of police reform issues, including banning chokeholds and no knock warrants, and would mandate deadly force to be used only as a last resort. Did you guys hear me right? Yes, I said only deadly force to be used only as a last resort. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad. We need big time police reform. As I say every week and on the show always, there's a lot of good police officers out there and there's a lot of bad ones. And we need reform to regulate the bad ones. There's no other way to say it. We definitely need that because things are just getting out of hand. What do you guys think about that? You guys chime in, my virtual live audience, and tell me what are your thoughts about that. So I'll come back to that topic. But moving along, you guys look at this. This is insane. Oh, I won't say it's insane, but it just makes you wonder what in the world is going on. Like we don't have other things that people need to be fighting about. So this is what's going on. This is Walmart is coming after Mr. Kanye West for releasing a proposed logo design that the retailer says too closely resembles the company's own logo. Come on, really? You guys, right here with the K on the left, that's Kanye West's his logo for his brand, and on the right is Walmart's. Okay, I don't see anything wrong with it. Do y'all? What do y'all think about that? I think they're being very petty. Let the man have his logo brand. It is not identical to theirs. Just have two seats, as I would say. Let the man do his thing, right? He's got enough going on with his divorce. Leave the man alone. Let him do his thing. What you guys think? Chime in and please tell me what your thoughts are on that. Absolutely. Let's see here. I'm going to look through my comments and see what you guys think about the police reform and the Walmart logo. Are they being too petty? I mean, really, come on. Okay, let's see here. Yes, Mommy Love says she's watching from Las Vegas. Yes, absolutely. Let's see here. Somebody said, move over. I want to watch the man cave with hubby. That is too funny. So you guys don't have any words, any comments? Carla, I know you got something to say about the police reform. Come on now. Let me hear what you guys got to say. Don't be scared. As they say in Atlanta, don't be scared. What do you think about the Walmart logo? Are they doing too much? Just too much? Trying to say his logo is too similar. I mean, nowadays it's like you can't even sneeze or you can't, everybody wants to come for you and say you're trying to copy their brand. Unless it's identical, so close. Just leave it be. Okay, yes. So Carla, she did chime in. I can always depend on her. She says police reform, George Floyd should be passed immediately. I agree, Carla. Immediately. We don't need years of debates between Congress and come on, let's get it done. How hard can it be? I mean, you got everything else done when you know who was in office. Let's get this done. This is huge. I think we need it right now. Deadly force should be used as a last resort. I mean, there's no excuse. There's just no other way of putting it. It just every time I turn on the TV, it's a different one, and you just want to cry. You just get so fed up with it, and it's getting to be really disgusting. Yes, somebody said, remember the famous words, can't we all just get along? Absolutely. Can't we all just get along? It is not that deep. I mean, some people, they do some of the horrendous crimes and you don't shoot and kill them. But anywho, it's got to be some police reform. No other way of saying it. Okay, so Carla says the logo of Kanye West is not identical to Walmart. No, it's not. Let him have it. Just leave him alone. Come on. I mean, Kanye West is a little bit out there. He does things a little bit different. I get it. But so what? That's if that's what he wants to do. Let him do it. Let him have his own logo. Leave him alone. Stop with the pettiness. Stop with the pettiness. So, without further ado, I am going to introduce my guest. Like I said, you guys, this is a huge treat. I'm so excited to have him on. He hails from Detroit. I consider Detroit my home. Yes, I call it the D. That's right, the D. For those of you that are from Detroit or from Michigan, no, we call it the D. Absolutely, 313. The infamous What Up, Though? That's right. He hails in from the D. So let me introduce him formally so you guys can hear a thing or two about Mr. Brandon Robinson. Absolutely. So, as I said earlier, Brandon Robinson, he is from Detroit. He is a writer that uses poetry as a tool of expression. At a young age, he learned to not really show emotion, but as he grew older, he learned to process and work through his emotions. He also learned the importance of compassion and helping others. These lessons that he learned shaped him into the person he is today. One of the ways he helps others is through writing poetry and providing guidance on dealing with the difficult challenges life can bring. Brandon is a person deeply guided by his faith and who has a strong desire to help people. He works with children in his local community and he loves spending time with his family and friends. Everyone, please welcome to the virtual stage poet, author Brandon Robinson. Let me bring him on in. Hey, how are you,
How you
Brandon?
doing?
How
Good,
you
good. Myself.
doing? Welcome to Let's Talk, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness. Are you staying safe, washing your hands, wearing a mask, and staying 6 feet apart?
And vaccinated too. I'm all of that.
Oh, I know that's right. I like to hear that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love it. So good to have you on. Your breath of fresh air during these crazy times, when people are really going through it, losing loved ones, job loss,
Yeah.
all kinds of things. And just to have you come on is just like I said, a breath of fresh air. Just curious to see the audience want to hear how you can help them, those that are struggling, get through some tough times. So tell me, what was the inspiration behind your book?
Yeah, so honestly, the inspiration behind my book really came from me really writing out for myself. It started off with me being a participant of writing out, working through things for myself. And then it grew into me helping other people, right? And so as I started to write for others, I realized that, wow, people were getting inspired, they were getting healed, um, people were getting ministered to, and their hearts, were being, really encouraged, and, you know, the response from others. That's so all of that. My desire to help people is what made me write that. And realizing that this is a tool that could help people heal really made me write the book.
Wow, I love it. And just giving back to others and wanting to help other people, that's huge. I mean, that's amazing of wanting you to do that. So, what do you hope that people get out of the book when they actually read it? What they
Yeah,
walk away?
that's a good question. So when people read this book, I hope the first thing that they can honestly do is be honest with themselves, embrace vulnerability, right? Be honest with yourself. First, be honest with you. Got to be transparent, have to tell yourself the truth, right? So I hope that they discover a degree of self awareness and a lot of honesty with themselves. And then after they have done that, my next hope is that they can then take that honesty and that transparency and then remove emotional walls, right? So I want them to take the walls that they've had up, let those walls down, and then allow healing to happen with the trauma that's behind those walls. And after healing that trauma, then they can embrace the amazing parts that God, created, and the amazing parts of themselves. They can, that is my hope. Walk away with that. Walk away with a newfound appreciation for who you are, the amazing person that you are, right? And being able to embrace all of that.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's amazing. Just to have a blueprint to help them get through the trauma or whatever that they're dealing with. Definitely. How did you discover writing? What made you decide to just pick up the pen one day and just start writing?
Honestly, the first time I picked up a pen to write, I was 21 or 22, I think, and I had a yellow notebook. Um, I think I still have that yellow notebook. I don't know if I have the exact poem I wrote, but I still have yellow notebooks in my storage. And I wrote and I said, wow, I can write a little bit. And I put it away and I didn't come back to it for another almost 10 years. So then I came back to it and I started writing. I had a different notebook. Now that one I still have. And I started writing. I'm like, man, like, I started off honestly, like I used to get cards. I think this is the origin. I used to get cards for church. And so I would read these cards and they would be okay, but I'm like, man, I could do better. So then they started being blank and I started like writing out card stuff. And so I took that and then grew into like writing out journal stuff for myself. I think that's how it happened. Now I could be wrong, but because it's been so long ago. But I took that and I started writing. But when I started writing, like it just started naturally happening. It's like, oh, okay, like this happened. The next line came and the two rhymed, and I was like, oh wait, I can actually put stuff together. And then I started to write out like my feelings. And I was like, wow, this is really a good, safe space where I can actually write out exactly how I feel in a very safe space. And that's what really propelled me to write even more because it was such a safe space. I could just be so transparent and so me. So that's what made me write.
Wow. And when you got done writing out whatever you were going through or your feelings, did you feel like a load had been lifted off you when you got done writing? You put the notepad away and
Mhm. I think, yeah, yeah. So whenever you write or whenever you get that honest moment, because it's no longer congested inside of your soul anymore, right? Like I don't have that emotional constipation or blockage where I don't really know how to express myself. Like now I'm like, I finally got out what I really wanted to. So there's a degree of relief. There's a degree of like, man, I finally got this out off my chest, but there's also a degree of accountability because I'm like, oh, now I know where I need to grow, right? Like now that I know, like now I got some areas I can grow in. So that's kind of for me how writing helped me because I'm like, oh, I didn't know like this was my real issue. Cool. How do I work on getting better here?
Absolutely. And I think that it has a lot of truth to that because being a writer myself, you could write about something fictitiously, but just writing, just like you said, just it just comes off. It just gives you that big sigh of release. And you can go back
Mhm.
years later, months later, and read it again and say, wow, I was really feeling that, but I've grown from that. Absolutely. I love it. What does it mean to tear down emotional walls? Because you're a man, a lot of men, they walk around with everything held in and they don't express themselves. So was
Mhm.
that easy for you to tear down that emotional wall being a man?
No. So no, no, it wasn't right because you're defining social norms. So beyond defining the social norms, um, being a man, um, it's very, it's different. Being a man, like so, faith is important to me, right? And you know, being transparent and expressing who I really am was very very much at the heart of that. But you also live in a spot where you need a safe space, and men need a safe space. It's not that men hold things in. A lot of times, men don't have a safe space publicly because when a man is transparent and vulnerable or weak about, hey, I'm struggling, I feel discouraged, or I'm not really happy with my life, or I don't feel comfortable about my weight, or whatever things that are social norms for women, when a guy expresses that, his masculinity is challenged
Mhm.
instantly and he's attacked for that. And so therein lies the wall. So for me, tearing down the walls also meant tearing down social norms of what things that people expected from me. So tearing down walls means tearing down social norms, tearing down opinions, and tearing down things that we've erected to protect areas of ourselves that we no longer need. Like there's a natural reaction that when you hurt yourself, like for instance, if I cut myself, right? Or here, my body's naturally going to protect it because it needs that. It needs that to heal. So, but once it's good, the scab is there or whatever, and the scab peels off. But the problem is with the wall, the scab never comes up, never comes off. You got to remove that scab because you've had enough time for healing, right? And if you do the work with vulnerability, transparency, being honest with yourself first and foremost, because you're not honest with yourself, doesn't matter. You're not going to be honest with anybody if you're not honest with you. So after doing that, getting that awareness, now you can work on healing that. And a part of healing that means you've got to let that wall down to get to it. Because if you could keep that wall erected, nobody can get there, right? Like if you want a relationship, if you want to love, if you want connections with your fellow man, family, friends, whoever, you gotta let that wall down, right? Because we can't connect. Like we can't connect to the fullest degree. There's a surface level connection. We can't have that intimate connection. Like I can't have that intimate conversation. You can't know me and I can't know you if I'm guarded. So if I let that wall down, now I get to heal, and guess what happens now? The desire that I really wanted, I get that.
That's so deep. That's so deep. And it's amazing that you're sharing that because like I said earlier, some men they hold it in and women too,
Sure,
because they're
sure.
afraid of how they're going to be judged and
Right.
definitely, definitely. So what brought you to this? Like what made you did you go through counseling? Did you read books? Did you watch shows? Like what got you to that point?
God, simply
Mm,
put. I would be extremely dishonest if I didn't say God got me there. So, what brought me to this position was I was going through a divorce. And through that divorce, like there's so much that goes through our process. Like we all go through things. We think of broken relationships, broken expectations. A lot of times at those places, you start to reevaluate things, and you also realize that I need to heal from that. So God took me, like as I was going through that process, to allow me to heal and work through those things. So that's how I kind of started that journey. Was I would say would be God. Like He's the reason why I went on that journey, and it's almost like being put out into that journey so that so that I could learn. Hey, here's how you tear down walls. Here's how you heal, and then help other people by giving them the blueprint.
absolutely. And I'm a firm believer that when you talk about God, that sometimes God will use you, right?
Mhm.
take you through something so that you can be a blessing to many others. So that's
Sure.
amazing. And you got to go back and give him credit and say, God,
Absolutely. Yeah,
mhm.
absolutely. I got to give credit to the source. I can't be like, well, it was a movie. No, it wasn't a movie. It was God. Yeah.
The man
For
above.
me. Yeah,
Absolutely.
everybody has their own different source of inspiration. That was mine.
Now, you talked about being vulnerable. What is the best thing that you would share with somebody to get them to open up? Would you just say, first start by writing, or what's the best advice you would give to someone who's really, really on edge? Like, we're in the pandemic, job loss, people have lost loved ones. I mean, this is probably the worst time ever that we've seen in our time. So,
Definitely.
what's your best first step that you would recommend to somebody?
So first of all, everybody's so different. So my first step is don't compare yourself to anybody because
Mm.
what you need is different than what I need, and what they need is different than what other person needs. So the first thing is to understand that for you it may be different. For some, it may be writing. Writing may be very therapeutic for you. It may be that way. For some, it's walks in nature that allows them to clear. For some, it's long drives. From some, it's conversations with loved ones. So they're all different ways. But the first thing that I would encourage is to be honest with yourself. Like before you're honest with, before you have those conversations with the other person, you kind of got to look and do some self reflection and see, like, oh, here I am and this is where I am, right? And then you can have those conversations with other. But I would say the most important person you should be vulnerable with is you. Because if you aren't vulnerable with you, if you're not open with you, it won't help you anywhere else.
Mm,
Like
that's
you can't even be honest with God if you're not honest with yourself. Because
that.
you're lying to yourself, right? And you think, no, I'm actually okay. Like I'm fine. I'm not hurt. But everybody can see it, but except for you. So if you don't see it, it doesn't really matter who else sees it. So the first person that you got to be honest with when you're taking the journey of vulnerability is yourself, because it's also the most difficult person to be honest with because you have to deal with the impact of what you see,
That's
which
deep.
sometimes it can be really good because you can see some amazing things inside of yourself. And then sometimes you can see some areas that are, not the best because of things you've experienced. And so both times you have to be the first to see it, and you got to move with a lot of compassion on yourself as you're being vulnerable, right? Like, one of the things that we don't like to see is shortcomings, weaknesses in our character, or things like that. But that doesn't make us bad people, right? It just means that we went through something that we need to grow from.
That's so true. Oh my goodness, that is so true. You hit the nail on the head when you said that. And a lot of people, that's, I won't say a lot, there are some people that aren't honest with themselves.
Yeah,
You always hear people say, I'm good, how you doing? I'm good. No, no, really, how are you doing? And people really are hurting inside, but they don't
right.
want to be honest with themselves.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
or they just don't want to be honest with the person, right? If people say I'm good, because more normally when people ask you how you doing, that's just like a courteous greeting, like oh fine, like because they don't really want to know how you're doing. So
Mm,
it's also on the question giver, because sometimes people ask how are you and they really mean how are you, right? And it's tough to like um, decipher between the two. Like, is this just a how you doing, like good, keep on going situation, or is this somebody that's really concerned about my well-being? How you doing? So that's being able to discern and see between the two is also very important.
And I think when people ask other individuals how you're doing, be prepared, especially during these times. Be prepared. That person might really tell you how they're doing.
That's true.
So don't just say it as something in passing. So, what is your favorite poetry out of all the ones you've written in your book?
It's tough to have a favorite. It's like having kids. Like you can't say like this is my favorite kid. Like I love them all, but there are some that I like to share more. Um, that I like to share as an introduction to people. So
That's awesome. That's
would you
awesome.
like to hear one?
Yes, please. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Yes.
So I got my book right here.
All
So
right. And you got the little the pullover. I like that. That's your
yeah,
logo.
you see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you. So I'm gonna read the one honestly that really helped me write the book.
Okay.
What helped me write the book is I read a meme on self sabotage, and they said, what does self sabotage look like? And it was like procrastination, not finishing tasks, and something else. And I said, oh my goodness, this is what I'm doing. This is why I'm not writing a book. Um, so this is one of the things that inspired me to write the book. So I love sharing this one with people. So it's
Please.
called The Enemy Within. It says, it disguises itself in many ways, like a camouflage. I'm talking about self sabotage. It creeps up every now and again, every time you think you're starting to win. What does sabotage look like for you? What are the things it won't permit you to do? You ever you ever been feeling good about a relationship, then all of a sudden thoughts come of scenarios that will end it? What about the times when you are in the groove, then all of a sudden reasons come why this isn't the move? Or other times when you are thinking of venturing out to start something you've had in your heart, but it will give you reasons why you aren't qualified to start. Behind procrastination and fear is really self sabotage leading the way, causing you not to manifest the true greatness in you every day. So if you keep hearing reasons why you shouldn't do something great, realize that's self sabotage doing his work so you'll hesitate. So know that beneath the sabotage is really low self esteem, telling you that you're not worthy of your dream. But that's the furthest thing from what's true. God placed something amazing inside of you. Something so wonderful, it can't be defined by what you do. Its uniqueness is tailor made and crafted just for you. So the next time reasons come for why you shouldn't do an ideal in your heart, remind yourself that you are worthy and start.
Oh, I love it. That's amazing. Look, I'm
Thank
gonna give
you.
you a virtual hand. That
Thank you.
is so, oh my God, it's so true and so deep. And I think everyone can relate to that in one form or another, in their life,
Mhm.
whether it's a task cleaning out that garage, or it's a task of writing that book, or it's a task of whatever.
Starting
Absolutely.
a business,
Yes,
starting a business, making career moves,
yes.
thinking about what if you have innovative ideas and you are career minded and it's like, wow, this would actually change our process, could bring some good visibility to you, but it's different. And then
Mhm.
you hesitate and you don't say anything, right? Because self-sabotage shows you, no, it's not gonna work. People call it imposter syndrome, but really it's just low self-esteem, right? And it's also fear of being rejected. But you also have all of those things play a part into the fact where you just say, you know what, I'm not good enough. I'm gonna sit back and let somebody else make the suggestion. Yeah.
Oh
Or
my God.
do the business ideal.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Y'all got to get this book so you can definitely check out some of his poems. And that one, definitely. I love that one. And what was the name of that one called again, Brandon?
The enemy within.
The enemy within. That is so true. Because sometimes we're our worst critic, and we're our
Mhm.
self-esteem. Oh yes, that is a good one. Absolutely. So you guys, what are your thoughts? Chime in, ask some questions of Brandon. He's got this awesome book and poems and poetry. I'm just gonna look through here, Brandon, and
Mhm.
see what people are saying here. Because that's amazing. Definitely. I'm just going through here. Oh, they're just saying so much stuff. I'm just scrolling through. If you want to read another one, that's fine. Somebody said natural talent.
Yeah.
Um, somebody
So
said
there's
not.
there's another one that I usually read to people, or I send. There too, and they're usually how I start off the book. So this
Okay.
is the first one to start the book, and it's called "Loving Me." Uh,
Mm.
and it says, "As I stand here and look in the mirror, the beauty in me I can see clearer. I'm not focusing on all the things I see wrong. Instead, I'm marveling at God's love song, one that echoes through the one that echoes beauty through my soul, where loving me is the goal. From the top of my head to the soles of my feet, masterfully crafted and eternally unique. A masterpiece that was shaped on God's canvas piece by piece, an endless work, one where the beauty will never cease. To be seen as his crowning achievement, a present that was heaven sent, and this is God's response. Yes, you are all of these things. Oh, no, 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 this one isn't, I don't think. Sorry. Yes, you are all of these things so lovely that with one gaze, my heart sings, my creation, my beloved, my favorite thing. Joy and satisfaction you will always bring.
Oh,
That is loving me.
that's beautiful. I love it. You got to love yourself. Like you said earlier, you have to love yourself and care for yourself before you can love anyone else. Definitely. And God loves us no matter what we may think of ourselves. I
Yes,
love
and he
that.
wants us to love ourselves. And that is the thing. Like, here's like loving yourself is so important because if you don't love yourself, you can't receive love from others. You can't give out love to others. You can't receive the love of God. It's so much that's wrapped into it. You can't receive compliments. You won't allow yourself to do something. Then you move in self punishment, self hatred. You do all of these things because there's a lack of self love.
That's so deep. Oh my gosh, that's so deep and so true. Someone said not having the father figure by your side, most of yourself coming up makes that wall hard to tear down. Oh my goodness. Without my faith, I would never, that would never have happened. Oh yes, so true. Some people, yeah, they grow up without a father figure or a mother figure, and that does create problems.
That is
Um,
hard. Yeah.
mhm. Somebody said, Amen, true. They said, we must meet the next time you need a ride. Call me. That's rocking Richard Houston. He drives limo. So he's in Detroit.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So they're just going on and hitting the heart emojis and the like emojis. And, everything that you talk about is so true. And I think everybody should, definitely check this book out so they can see and dig deep within, right? Because nobody that walks this face of this earth is perfect, know it all. It just, we all have issues inside of us that needs to be
And
worked on.
here's the thing to think about too when we're thinking about digging deep. A lot of times we think about digging deep to discover flaws. You're
Mm,
digging deep to discover purpose, the beauty inside of yourself. That's going to be uncovered. Like there's so much good in us too that the wall holds up, right? And so you want to dig deep so that you can see the good stuff. Like there are good ways, and there are ways that we can see the beauty in us better. There's body image, there's a poem on body image for men and women. There's ways that we can see ourselves even better, right? That we can see our worth, our value even more, right? So that we can grow in our appreciation for who we are and whose we are, and just seeing the wonderful creation that we were made to be, like seeing like our gifts, our talents, like those things even more, like our impact, like those are things that you want to dig to. Usually people think like, oh, I want to dig so I can improve something. Improve seeing how amazing you are. That's what
mm,
you want. That's what we need to improve.
That's that positive spin on it, right? Not everything is negative. I love it. Absolutely.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. And like you said, it can help you remind yourself of some great things that are there, that you, oh,
Yeah.
I forgot I got that talent, or I forgot I could do that.
Yeah.
And I could relate to that a little bit doing this podcast. Some of the people that have been watching since day one, this was my brother's idea, and I didn't want to be in front of the camera. I'm like, no. I have a phobia. I hate being in front of the camera. But people say you're so good at it, but I'm always looking at myself trying to look at the negative. So you're right. You got to hype
Yeah.
yourself up and look at the
Yeah.
positive.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and if you think, just think different. Like instead of thinking the opposite, because fear is always telling you the opposite, right? And telling you the harmful things of like, oh wow, here's what I'm going to do, and it presents like these scenarios of failure or harm or things of that nature, and we're like, man, if I do this, I'm going to fail. And so what it does is it offers a form of protection. But the protection is if you stay in these parameters, I'll keep you safe. I
Mm,
won't allow this the torment or the scenario, the embarrassing scenario, whatever we have in our minds. It says I'll protect you from that, but you got to stay here. You got to
yeah.
stay. You got to stay in this little area that I created for you. In that
Hmm.
area, but then if we stay there, there's a part of us that's so frustrated because we don't really want to live in that area. Like there's so much promise in us that wants to go out of the area, right?
Yeah.
And that is the difference. Like fear is always going to be restrictive. It's always going to hold back. It's always going to keep away. Whereas love is going to be the opposite, right? Love is at the essence of who God is, but it's always the opposite. It's always going to free us. It's always going to allow us to be who we are at
Hmm.
our fullest degree without any restraints.
I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. I love how you breaking this down. You guys got to get this book. Definitely. Brandon, please tell everybody how they can follow you. I mean, you just touching my heart with just your words of wisdom and everything. Please tell everybody how they can purchase the book and how
Yeah,
to follow you.
absolutely. Yeah. So first they can purchase the book at www.wordswontform.com. And that's wordswontform.com. That's the same as this. Um, And you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook at the same thing at Words Won't Form. Everything is Words Won't Form. And for me, that is at the essence of why I do this, because when words wouldn't form, my pen would speak literally. So
Mm.
that's literally why, this is named that. But yeah, they'll be able to find, there's not only is there a book, but there's a pen set too and a journal, which I don't have with me. So there's a
Awesome.
pen set. So you get a pen and you get like a pencil with it, right? And a journal, right? So you can use all of those tools to turn on emotional walls, along with the vulnerability guide ebook too. That comes with the book anyway. So once you purchase the book, there's a vulnerability guide ebook, and it walks you through like what vulnerability is, um, what are the benefits of vulnerability, how do you practice vulnerability, right, through
Mhm.
narrative or writing, or which is called narrative therapy. How do you do that? And then how do you move into conversation? Like I've got all that in there, and then there's some affirmations in there, right? Your 21 affirmations. We can do it as I call it like the 21-day walls down. So it's 21 days of you using an affirmation to tear these different walls down, like to reinforce the changes that you're making.
I love it. I love it. That's outstanding. And that is great. And this is definitely what we need. You represent Detroit. I'm so proud of the fact that you represent Detroit, something positive. You guys got to jump on this definitely and check it out. Let me just see real quick. Are there any other comments? Everybody's hitting love emojis and thumbs up and all that good stuff. Just keep doing. Oh, here's one question. It says, do your poems come with your personal experience? That's what they want to know.
Some of them do, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
some of them absolutely are from personal experience, like the enemy within. That's from that. There's some other ones that are actually me in there too, right? Like there's a few that are tailor made for me. Yeah, so I am part of me being vulnerable is me allowing people to see that through writing. So some of these things are for me or are about me. There's one in particular when you talked about police brutality and that. Like, so I have one, and it's called A Black Man's Struggle. And
Mm,
so, to be honest, I wrote that, but I never intended on sharing it with anybody um, because it was the first time I'd ever seen a black man murdered by the police on video, and it was so traumatizing. Like I couldn't sleep. Like I was just laying in the bed, and I'm like, I couldn't process it. I couldn't sleep. And so I got my pen and or I think at this time I was using my notepad on my phone, but I wrote it out. I was just writing out my feelings, and it was really just a conversation between me and God, honestly. Like that is a true testament of like that's as vulnerable as I can be, and that's in there. It's actually really good. Like and so I shared it with a few people like years ago when I wrote it, and they were like, "Look, you have to let other people see this," and I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, but I did, and I'm telling you, like everyone loved it. Like people were sharing, sharing, sharing. I was like, oh, okay, well, obviously I got something here. Like this was really never meant to be seen by anybody. So yeah, to answer
mhm.
the question, yes.
That's awesome. So you guys definitely got to check that out so you could read that poem. Well, Brandon, I thank you so much for coming on Let's Talk. I am honored and that you came on. I'm proud to see that you are an author from the D. Absolutely.
Thank you, all. Thank you for
So
having me on. I really appreciate it.
absolutely. You are welcome here anytime. Make sure you continue to wear your mask, wash your hands, and stay 6 feet apart.
Will do.
Talk to you soon. Bye
All right.
bye.
Take care.
You too. Oh, wow. What a knowledgeable young man. Just from personal experiences, the things that he's gone through. I think that is just amazing. Big ups to him. So you guys definitely take, look him up, follow him, purchase the books, because sometimes as we go through things in life, you don't want to just, hold it always in. You want to be able to get it out, some sort of way. Like he said, some people they may roller skate, they may drive, they may run, they may write, whatever it is, we definitely got to get it out because when you keep it bottled in, that's not safe. So, big ups to Brandon Robinson of Detroit, one of my hometowns. So glad he came on. So, you guys, as we close out the show, yes. Want to leave you guys every week. I was trying to think of, well, what can I share with them on a positive note? I don't know. So these are some of the things this is one of the things that I thought would be good to share with you guys. So, as he talked about, we all go through a rough patch in our life, be it divorce, the pandemic, death, job loss, what have you. Or maybe none of those things have affected you at all, but just turning on the news is depressing, and the police brutality and shootings and killings. Just remember this: good things can still happen in the midst of chaos. Don't give up, don't lose hope. Just keep praying, keep staying positive as much as you can, and don't give up no matter what. So, as I tell you guys every week, do one good thing for one person each day, and you can affect 365 lives. Stay safe out there. There's another variant out there coming from India, and I'm praying for those that country. Continue to wash your hands, wear your mask, stay 6 feet apart, be careful, and just know that if nobody has told you this week that they love you, know that I love you. And with that, have fun, and I'll see you soon. And I'm out.